Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 126, Peer Review. Edward POV. Penny, your check engine light is on, I said with a smile the second I sat next to her in the driver's seat. She had cut her hair from the last time we met. Now, she had bangs on her forehead, and her hair was straight and it reached only her shoulder compared to the long wavy hair she had before. With a pink sweater on, she looked like a high school girl instead of a working woman. I told you, Sheldon said as he was thrown off to the back seat after failing to shout shotgun before me to claim his seat. Penny laughed dryly and said, the engine light is on, but the engine is fin-e. Is it really? I gave her a side eye before I chuckled at her I got caught reaction. Okay, new topic. Edward, why do you need Leonard? You haven't told us yet, Penny said while glancing at Leonard behind her. And I never will. Penny, you should bring your car to my place sometimes. I could check out the engine for you. Sheldon chortled and said, please. As if you know how to fix an internal combustion engine. I replied casually, yeah. I do. I can even build a working car using scraps. What's your point, Mr. Not Invited but come anyway cause he's jobless Cooper. Fired from his job because he insulted the new dean, Sheldon had spent almost a week doing various weird things in his apartment. His refusal to apologize to get his job back had been making life hard for everybody around him. I'm not jobless. I'm on sabbatical. Sheldon tried to explain. Which is basically jobless. You know what, I won't even be surprised if you went crazy and started to create luminous fish and called them $1 billion idea now that you are not working. Sheldon froze and Leonard scrunched his forehead in both confusion and in awe. The crazy theoretical physicist turned to his best friend and said, Leonard, did you break the statue of secrecy I gave you for our brilliant luminous fish idea? It's your idea, not mine. Besides, I haven't agreed to become your partner. It wouldn't be a good investment, Leonard said before turning to me and asked, how the hell did you know that? Know what? I replied teasingly. That Sheldon will go crazy? I always knew it was going to happen. Leonard and Penny laughed. Sheldon waited for a while before he muttered, I'm not crazy. My mother had me tested. After a while, Penny said with a blush, Edward, thanks for the offer. I will bring the car to your house sometimes. Leonard's eyes darted between the both of us before he hurriedly said, you know, I always wanted to get my hands dirty and try to fix a car too. Should I help you? Sheldon looked at him confusedly and said, no you don't. You don't like getting dirt on your hands. Shut up, Sheldon. And you don't have the skills to do it. Excuse me, I'm an experimental physicist. I could learn how to do it in no time. While the two were bickering, I turned to Penny and asked, how's your audition? She slumped her shoulder and looked down instantly as she heard that. Leonard heard it and replied for her, she got lots of them. Penny added grudgingly, but I got no parts. None. Huh? Why? I asked puzzledly. Sheldon interjected as usual, maybe the directors went to the Cheesecake Factory and got served by Penny. No one will want to hire her when they see her work ethics. Penny was offended, but she didn't reply to Sheldon but instead to me, I don't know. I have no idea why. I do know why. But you wouldn't like it. I thought to myself. Although her career was jump-started by her part in my music video, she sucked in acting in real life. The only reason she looked good in the MV was because it didn't have a dialogue for her to do, and she only came out in less than 45 seconds in the clip. It would take a brave director, or a reckless and desperate one to actually cast her for a role in their movie. I'm sure you will get a part in the future. Don't worry about it. I comforted her as I put my hand on her shoulder. Leonard got jealous again while Penny blushed and looked at me with some expectations, but she didn't request anything. Back to the original topic, why do you want to meet with Leonard? Sheldon asked to change the topic as the one before didn't interest him. So, you want my help to figure out how to ask a girl to prom? Leonard asked in disbelief. How, what? Not only him, but even Penny and Sheldon were shocked by my request. All of us were currently in the Cheesecake Factory as I needed to get some food. Penny dropped her fries from her hand as the table fell silent. She was sitting next to me while the boys were sitting opposite of us. I acted casually and ate my fish and chips while I waited for them to finish processing their reaction. Sheldon then took a sip of his iced tea and said to me, Long Island iced tea is great. No wonder people drank this during their vacation. Penny snapped out of her frozen state and snickered at Sheldon. He wanted to order lemonade as usual, but I convinced him to try the Long Island iced tea. As he needed to prove to me that he wasn't jobless, he accepted the suggestion and ordered the tea, which he didn't realize was alcoholic. This is great, Sheldon said with a smile as he drank the tea. Okay. Back to this, Edward, Leonard? Seriously? Penny asked in disbelief. Hey, I can be romantic if I want, Leonard said hurriedly. Oh no. I can handle the romantic part. I just need some ideas for making some series of puzzles for her. I replied before taking out my iPhone. I have a few, but some of them need chemicals that I don't have, and also quite dangerous. Leonard took the phone and read my list of ideas. He was shocked and asked, Uranium. What could you possibly think that you needed a uranium for asking a girl to prom? Rejected. Give me that. Sheldon snatched the phone from Leonard and read the list on his own. This one could work. Hacking into various organizations and leaving clues inside their mainframe so that she could decipher them one by one. I nodded at Sheldon's words, but Penny shouted, New. She snatched the phone and pushed it back into my hands. Girls don't need all of that. You just need to be sincere with her. Don't be an international criminal, just because you wanted to ask her out. But no buts. Penny warned me before saying, or I'll tell Pepper about it. Fine. Leonard thought for a while before saying, the puzzle about the periodic element sounds good. But you can't spell prom with it without it becoming prompt. Or you could use some flashcards and reenact the scenes from Love Actually. Penny said. How about you, Penny? How did your date ask you to your prom? I asked her curiously. Which prom? The first. Or the 7th? I just want to know the memorable ones. She thought for a while as Leonard muttered to himself, 7? Well, there is one boy who decided to bring me flowers and asked me in front of the entire school, she shared. And did you go with him? I asked. No. He looks like a creep, so I went with his best friend instead. Penny blurted out, and stopped halfway as she realized that she wasn't going to look good in that story. There is another one where I went out with the quarterback, so we just went to prom together. So, one man for each prom, or one man for the entire 7? Leonard asked. Penny's mouth felt dry and she answered meekly, the first one. Damn, so you lost your V-card 7 times? I joked. Penny was bewildered and she laughed, oh no. I lost it years before. She realized the topic was inappropriate again, but before she could change the subject, I asked, so, did you sleep with your prom dates or not? Well, I was young, so yes. She replied shyly. Leonard was depressed at the side, while Sheldon was spaced out as he kept drinking his tea, and ordering a few more of it. Leonard then decided to change the subject. Is this girl special to you? Kinda. She's my best friend. Only, a friend? Or a friend that you haven't got the courage to ask out yet? He asked while glancing at Penny. A friend, well, we did go out before, but she broke up with me. I confessed. I don't think we will go out together again, but I wanted to give her one last good school experience before she moved back to New York.
Ah, I got it. Leonard exclaimed before he took out his phone. Can I ask Howard about this? He could give us a few ideas.
I don't think so, but you can try. I replied with distrust in my tone. Leonard talked to Howard for a while before the latter said using a loudspeaker, while she learned forensics. So you could say, the human body has 206 bones.
You want to see the 207th? Go to prom with me. I pressed the disconnect button on Leonard's phone before Howard could finish. See?
Useless. My friend saw you shopping with Sheldon in a store. While the waitress was giving Sheldon his third glass of tea, I made a casual conversation with Penny.
Oh. I saw her too.
Why is she staying around here, and not at her mansion?
Did her family go broke? Penny asked. Nah. The mansion is still there.
But something happened, and she wasn't ready to go back there yet.
Anyway, what did you do there? I asked, changing the topic. Sheldon interjected, his face flushing a bit from the alcohol.
I went there for eggs, and Penny went there to create expensive urine. Leonard and I widened our eyes as Penny was flabbergasted by Sheldon's mumbling. I muttered, kinky, which made Penny turn to me with a horrified look on her face.
Also,
she was in her time of the month. Sheldon added.
I'm not. No. None of that was true. Penny exclaimed hurriedly.
She then explained how Sheldon was criticizing her about buying supplementary vitamins, and misunderstood her sarcastic remarks about the urine part. As Sheldon got more drunk, Leonard and I changed our conversation to my air fryer invention. I drew the design on a tissue paper, which I slid over to Leonard's side of the table for him to see. He contemplated the designs for a while. Penny was astonished and she hugged me, pressing my face on her chest as she did so.
Oh my God. You're so smart,
she said as if placating a child. I gave her a side eye and Sheldon said, for you, he must be.
Give me that.
He snatched the tissue from Leonard again.
Leonard wasn't offended and he looked up to me before saying, theoretically, it's possible.
But there are several factors you need to consider. The bacterial infestation, the materials that could handle the heating system, the food taste. This is a whole new cooking equipment. People will feel that it's reinvigorating at first, but if you fail to make it become a norm in people's daily life, the invention's hype will be short-lived. Not to mention the money you needed to handle the R&D for the technology on your own.
For my advice?
It's better for you to just figure out and finalize the technology, patent it, and then sell it instead of building your own brand.
Leonard, I am selling it though?
I said quizzically with a slight head tilt. I wonder why he got the idea that I was going to monopolize the invention.
You're not? Aren't you a money grubber? Wait.
Sorry. Leonard shook his head quickly as Penny widened her eyes and gestured to him with her facial expression to stop talking.
I laughed and turned to Sheldon, who was scrutinizing the tissue paper. Sheldon, you okay? I asked.
For materials, ceramics and stainless steel is enough. You can build the device with heat-resistant polycarbonate, and it would be able to withstand the temperature. Also, I agree with Leonard on the R&D part.
You should sell it instead of doing it on your own.
Leonard and Penny were surprised that Sheldon's mind could still work, but I didn't have much of a reaction except for being annoyed.
I never said I would do it on my own. Why, never mind. If you want, I can support you with buying the equipment to make it. It'll be hard for you to order it on your own unless you know people at the university level, Leonard said. Then, I will count on you with that.
Also, I know someone with a master's degree in engineering. Howard can be of help.
Oh hells no.
I want to do it in my aunt's garage, and there is no way I'm going to let him near her.
I rejected him quickly.
Although it would be fun to see Howard get punched, I'd rather he would just stay away so that my aunt wouldn't think that I was hanging out with people like him.
Hey, are you Edward? Can I get a picture?
Suddenly, a young girl fan, presumably 9 or 10 years old, walked to our seats and asked while holding the edge of the table.
You know what? I actually have a rule about taking pictures with fans outside. I said.
She turned dejected and almost left the table.
I added, but I will make an exception today. Just for you. I spoke clearly to make sure the other people lingering around the table heard it. Although I have no qualms about taking pictures with fans, there was a place and time for it. Me hanging out with friends was definitely not the time for it. I took a picture with the kid, and she skipped away happily after that. Sheldon was a bit jealous and said, I was responsible for the university's 4 quantum gravity equations that had made various impacts on changing humanity's way of understanding the universe, but a 14-year-old who knows how to sing is more famous than me. Do you know how to sing, Sheldon? I asked instigatively.
I know how to sing, I just choose not to do it.
Sheldon replied. Really? There is a piano and a microphone right there. Why don't you prove it?
Sheldon replied drunkenly, your juvenile attempt to make me sing here and embarrass myself is pathetic. However, I could sense that my frontal lobe isn't working properly, and I am more prone to making bad decisions. I laughed and called the waitress who was passing by.
Hi, my friend here is an excellent singer. Can you let him use the stage? I need to ask the manager first, but I think if Mr. Edward Newgate had vouched for him, then there would be no problem. Hi, Penny. Can't believe you're sitting here. Hi, Caitlin. I told you, I know him.
Penny replied with a fake smile while hugging me again as if marking her territory from the other girl.
Caitlin smiled wryly and walked away before Penny cursed, that bitch always tries to convince people I didn't know you. Leonard said, well, you can't blame her.
The probability to meet anyone, not just a waiter, that has a connection to a famous person is abysmally tiny.
Penny glared at him.
I sighed at Leonard's lack of understanding of women and comforted Penny, well, one day when you get famous, Caitlin will go around telling people that she used to know you.
Excited even. Okay, that's it. I will sing. Sheldon suddenly stood up and declared. He then walked to the stage and sat next to the keyboard. Oh. I'm looking forward to this. I said as I turned my chair to face the stage and even took out my phone to record it. To life, Fiddler on the Roof. See the Sheldon version.
To life, l'chaim. L'chaim, to life.
Here's to the father I tried to be. Here's to my bride-to-be.
Sheldon started out normally before he made the tempo turn upbeat. The genius also has a pitch-perfect ability, and he could sing every song that he ever heard if he wanted to. That was also one of the reasons he avoided songs. Otherwise, it would occupy a big part of his brain.
To life, l'chaim. L'chaim, to life. Life has a way of amusing us, blessing and bruising us. Drink l'chaim to life.
As Leonard walked Sheldon home using the bus instead of the car as Sheldon was feeling adventurous, Penny sent me home in her car.
Thanks for driving me, I said as we got to my aunt's house. You're welcome, sweetie, Penny replied. And don't worry. I'm sure your proposal will do great. You too. I'm sure that you will get a part sooner or later. Soon. I can't take working in the Cheesecake Factory for long. Otherwise, it will seem like I failed to rise up there, Penny said in a dispirited manner. Like a bad batch of bread, I joked. Penny chuckled before faking irritation and said, okay. Good night. She then pressed the gas pedal and slowly drove away. I laughed and shouted, don't forget to bring your car over next week. Sure. I will, Penny replied from afar. It was only 7 o'clock when I returned to my place. As I entered the house, I froze a bit when I saw Desiree and my aunt sitting together at the dining place and laughing while talking.
Then, Desiree narrowed her eyes at me for a split second as she saw me before putting on a smile on her face again. My heart skipped a beat, but I didn't react to it and walked to the dining table casually.
General POV. Sheldon.
Leonard tried to stop Sheldon, who was saying away to a normal suburban house, but it was too late.
Sheldon rang the bell, and when the dean of the university opened the door, he instantly said, "Why you." Gabelhauser was flabbergasted and asked, "Dr. Cooper, are you drunk? You fired me.
And now, a 14-year-old boy is going to replace me." He whined as he leaned on the doorframe of the house.
Gabelhauser turned to Leonard, who was fidgeting behind Sheldon, and asked, "Do you know anything about this?" "I honestly don't,"
Leonard said, trying to keep his hand clean from the trouble. "Dr. Cooper, if you apologize, I will hire you back at the university,"
Dr. Gabelhauser said. Although he was offended by Sheldon's remark, his genius was undisputed.
Sheldon threw his arms down, flailing them as he whined, "But I didn't say anything that was untrue, untrue." He almost fell down, but he grabbed the doorframe to keep himself standing up.
"Sheldon, it doesn't matter what you think. This is your chance.
Just apologize, and you can go back with us." Leonard took the chance to convince Sheldon.
"Dr. Cooper, do you want to go back?" Dr. Gabelhauser asked. "I do. But I don't want to apologize. Should I call your mother and make you apologize?"
Leonard threatened him.
"All right,"
Sheldon exclaimed exasperatingly before turning to the dean. However, instead of apologizing, he chuckled and said, "Gabelhauser, inside a house? Wait, am I at your house?"
"Sheldon!" Leonard cried out to him.
Sheldon was shocked before his sanity returned for a short period of time.
"Okay. Dr. Gabelhauser.
I'm sorry for calling you a glorified high school science teacher, whose last successful experiment was lighting his own farts." Gabelhauser felt attacked again, but Sheldon continued, "I'm sorry.
That was uncalled for. Okay, Dr. Cooper.
I'll see you back at the office tomorrow.
Now, get the hell out of my porch,"
Dr. Gabelhauser said, wanting to put all of the matter behind him and start anew.
"On second thoughts."
Sheldon gestured with his index finger. Leonard was afraid that he would take his words back, but then, something worse happened.
Look! Sheldon threw up inside of Dr. Gabelhauser's house. Chapter 127, Battle of Wits. Edward POV.
Desiree narrowed her eyes as I stood next to her.
"Have you had dinner yet, Ed?" my aunt asked cheerily. I smiled and said, "I have already eaten.
By the way, the food in the Cheesecake Factory is great. We should all go there sometimes. It will be my treat.
No. I will treat you," my aunt interjected quickly. I shot a weirded out look at her before turning to Desiree and asked, "What do you think? Wanna go with us?" "Of course I will. I need to make sure you spend a lot of money. Then, will we be even for last night?"
she said, hinting at the peeping.
"Oh, did Abby and I playing games together bothered you sleeping?"
"If we did, I apologize for that," I replied with an innocent look. Desiree narrowed her eyes again, realizing that she had lost in the initial probing. She only saw a glimpse of the peeper, therefore she couldn't straight away accuse me. That was why we were playing the subtlety inside the conversation.
Desiree on the right corner of the ring, and me on the opposite side.
"Yes. That too," she replied while holding her chin and smiling precariously.
I paused for a while and pretended to be confused before I asked, "Two? What else did I do?" "Oh, don't mind the old lady. I was just rambling," Desiree said.
I smirked inwardly as if I didn't respond to her weird sentence. It would seem as if I knew the hidden meaning behind it. It was a cleverly placed trap, but so far, I managed to pull ahead in this match. I chuckled a bit and said, "By the way, have you seen my aunt's bedroom?" I took the initiative in my hand this time.
Her eyes shook and she guessed, "You're talking about her bed?"
"Yes.
Try to roll around in it. It's like living in mattress land. I joked. Did you roll around on it when you came yesterday? My aunt asked curiously. Yes. Who wouldn't? I replied with a laugh. So, you were inside the room at around 10 p.m. last night, right? Desiree asked with a cold smile on her face. I gulped my saliva and replied, that's specific, but yes. Desiree fell into contemplation as she couldn't really pin the crime on me without proper evidence. So far, all she had was a circumstantial one, but the term was innocence until proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent. She was an advocate of that term, unlike the brain-dead people on Twitter and other social media who pushed judgment without even investigating. I was close to making her forget the matter, however, I failed to take account of my aunt's interference in the battle. You know, after he got out of the room, he laughed like a crazy person before checking out the next one. I guess he really likes the bed, but he likes something more in the next room. Maybe, the one outside the window? My aunt asked teasingly. Ah shit. I cursed. I wonder what happened to make him laugh after getting out of your room, Desiree asked with a ferocious glint in her eyes. This time, she was sure that I had a part in the shame she felt that night. My aunt was confused. Her expression was as if she was asking Desiree, that's what you focus on? I created a perfect opportunity for Abby for nothing. Desiree noticed the gaze and flinched before saying perfunctorily, oh yes. He might pick the next room because of that. My aunt showed a deadpan expression at her before she stood up from the chair. You know what, you guys talk. I need to go call. She shot a glance at me and decided not to reveal it, my boss. I thought you weren't working? I asked her with a suspicious gaze. I still don't. She replied childishly before walking away, swaying her hips as she went. Desiree then turned to me with a smile on her mouth, but her eyes revealed a chilly glint. So Ed, what did you do after you rolled around on the bed? I pretended to be confused, but still answered her question with a smile. You're still on this? Wait, after that, I was attracted by the curtain flap from the strong wind. So I went to the window and tried to see what was happening. But the wind suddenly stopped, so I lost interest and got out of the room. Then, why did you laugh? Well, my friend sent me a funny text. Why are you so interested in this? Perhaps. You're in the dark room? I turned the table against her, making her blush a bit from the sudden attack. And dash. You're so interested in that, perhaps, you're doing something naughty in the room, and afraid that I had seen it? I joked. As she blushed, I pretended to be shocked and said, you really did? Enough. Let's move on from this dash. She tried to change the topic, but I slammed the table and then held my head in frustration as I shouted, shh. I should have looked better. Why did I quit halfway? Desiree concluded that I truly haven't seen it based on my reactions, and she stood up quickly. Anyway. You should ask Abby to prom soon. Bye. She ran out of the house before I, or my aunt could ask her any more questions about it. I chuckled to myself and my frustrated expression melted instantly. I'm safe, I exhaled in relief. Safe from what? My aunt suddenly appeared behind me, crossing her arms as she gazed sternly at me. I was taken aback and replied, safe, inside this warm and nurturing home you provided? She narrowed her eyes at me in suspicion. My heartbeat quickened, but there was still no notable change in my facial expressions. After a while, she finally relented and said, okay. Thank you. That's what I was going for. While you're at school, I even did something good. Huh? What did you do? I asked in confusion. She grinned and gestured with her head to ask me to come with her. I followed her from behind as we entered the pull-out couch room I slept in last night. To my shock, I saw the aberrant bed inside the room, which filled the entire room from wall to wall, with only a small space for me to maneuver close to the door. What the hell? Language. But yeah. While you were gone, I asked the construction crew at your place to help me move it. Camila. I can't let you sleep on the pull-out bed. That thing is falling apart.
She shrugged and said, I know.
That's why I had thrown it away.
She then walked to her room and showed me something else.
And I already changed my bed. I really can't sleep on that one. It made me feel very lonely.
Inside her room was a normal-looking bed. On the floor, there was proof that the humongous bed had been inside there, exposed by the stain on the hardwood tiles that couldn't be removed. I rubbed the back of my head in frustration, but as I saw her excited face, I didn't say anything to keep her happy. She truly did that because she thought I was in love with the bed after all.
But now, I'm the one who's going to feel lonely.
I should invite Luca. No, he drools.
What should I do now? Dunphy's family. Hey. What's going on with you?
Alex asked Haley, who seemed down for about 2 days now.
Didn't you go out with Dad? Why are you home so early? Haley turned towards Alex, who just entered their room. Dad only wanted to talk to me about mom stuff.
I no longer cared about that, so I'm here now.
Alex explains simply.
Phil had taken her out to spend some time with Alex and also to appease her anger towards her mother. But he was surprised when he realized that Alex had no longer held a grudge. Her indifference was because she was beginning to become a teenager, and not because of Claire. Saddened by the fact that his baby girl was growing up and currently distancing herself from the parents, Phil almost cried in the car, but he kept it together until they arrived home.
Oh. Haley replied before staring into a distance again. What is with you? Alex asked in a concerned tone.
She sat on her bed, facing with her sister, and asked, Is this about your private after-party with Ed before Dash?
No.
Haley shouted in a weird high-pitched voice.
Then what?
Are you jealous that Ed is asking Abby out to prom?
Haley's eyes darted around, and Alex sighed as she realized that she had hit the mark. A few seniors asked you to go with them, right? If you really want to go, just go with them. Alex said, missing the mark this time. Haley's concern wasn't about the prom, but about the thing people usually do after prom, akin to a tradition. Suddenly, Haley's phone vibrated as she got a text. She checked it and raised one of her eyebrows. What is it? Alex asked noisily. Abby asked me to go to Ed's new room. There's something fun there, she said. Oh. Can I come? Alex asked. Haley was struggling inside.
She was afraid that the message was code for something else, and she didn't want to bring her innocent sister with her.
It's late. I can sneak out, but I can sneak out too, Alex said excitedly. Suddenly, both of them froze as Claire entered the room in an abrupt manner.
Then, both of them burst into laughter as they saw what Claire looked like.
Claire held her new auburn hair embarrassingly as she saw the reactions of her teenage daughter.
But her mission was completed as both of them stood up from their bed and went near her to take a closer look.
Mom, why did you dye your hair red? Or are you wearing a wig?
Haley asked, her face still full of smiles as she touched Claire's new hair.
I'm sure she's wearing a wig, Alex replied while holding her stomach.
Claire smiled and said shyly, I thought I'd make a change.
Doesn't it look good? Mom, are you entering your middle-age crisis?
Haley asked in concern before she said, hold still, to her mom and snapped a picture of her with the phone and sent it to Edward.
Claire scrunched her face and said, "No.
I'm 39 years old."
That's not something you should be proud to say out loud,
Haley said, making Claire feel flabbergasted by the teenage girl train of thoughts.
But seriously? Did you change it for Dad? What did Grandpa think?
Alex asked, then she added.
What did Ed think?
Subconsciously, Alex had placed both her grandpa and Ed at the same spot in her mind, but no one realized it yet.
No. I didn't do it for your dad.
In fact, your dad has been avoiding me ever since he saw it. Claire replied with helplessness in her tone. She didn't know why Phil was hiding from her. At this moment, she didn't realize yet how much her red hair had stuck fear in Phil's heart because of her resemblance to a clown. He needed some time to adapt to it, that's why he's distancing himself.
Maybe he didn't like it, Alex said. Claire widened her eyes and said sadly, "You think?"
Sensing their mother's emotions, the two girls glanced at each other and came to an understanding immediately. Or, he's just too embarrassed about how much he likes it. You know Dad and his weirdness, Haley said to comfort Claire. Yeah, Mom. You look good. Don't worry about it, Alex added. Claire smiled and hugged both of her daughters at the same time. I'm the most blessed mother in the world to have you guys, she said sincerely as she kissed both of them on their forehead. She released them, and as she turned back to exit the room, she said, "Therefore, I will turn a blind eye if you want to sneak out to Ed's house, granted that you return before 12 o'clock. One-time exception. Are you clear? Crystal, X2. However, to their disappointment, Abby texted Haley again saying that she had been kicked out from Ed's room for being too distracting as he was working, and went back to their bed. Well, Mom already gave us a free pass, so it doesn't matter if we're using it today or tomorrow, Haley said slyly at Alex. But, he is working again. Seriously, rest already. Should I really just go to his place and force him to do it? I tried to make him cut loose last Sunday, but then the attack happened. He really can't catch a break, she thought to herself. Edward POV. PFFF ha 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 ha. What did she show the hairdresser? Chucky image? I laughed out loud as I saw the picture and texted Haley back. She responded with a laughing gif and said, I know, right? Can you imagine me, with red hair like that? Although she seemed like she was joking, she was actually fishing for attention/compliments. Being a good friend, I knew exactly how to reply to her. I think you'll look great. But you're a bit tanned, so you're going to look like one of those troll dolls nobody would buy. QET, #N$. After making Haley mad, I continued typing on my laptop while waiting for her to calm down. My lips keep curling up as I investigate the Saltzman megacorporation, completely distracted from my work as I thought of the picture. I want to see how Claire will react when Jay calls her old to her face tomorrow. Too bad I have school, I muttered to myself before starting my investigations again. Then, I decided to continue developing an app that I had in mind. With my programming skills, I had finished almost 70% of the apps, and I would only need one more day to finish developing this app that could be sold for 1 billion or more in the future. But, why would I sell them? I chuckled to myself. I will just make the rich get richer then. It's better for me to keep it all in my pocket. Hey, you future villain. Stop smirking. Abby shouted from her window, feeling dissatisfied as she got kicked out. Go to sleep, you useless CSI. I shouted back. Shut up. I will go to sleep when I want to, she replied in a rebellious manner. Go to sleep, or I will tell your mother that you plan to get a tattoo on your boobs, I threatened her. Abby was in disbelief and said, When the hell did I say that? Does it matter? You'll be in trouble anyway, I said with an evil grin. You bastard. She slammed her windows shut and pulled her curtain as she went away. Next morning came quickly. I went to school as usual, but as I got to the music classroom, I was taken aback when I saw the sight in front of me. Abraham was in his pajamas, and he brought pillows and blankets with him to the school. What the hell? I muttered. Excuse me. Suddenly, Jacob walked into the room, also wearing his pajamas and holding bags with blankets and pillows in them. What? I was confused as hell as I saw it. Jacob and Abraham grinned before saying, Well, we don't have anything to do, so we decided to continue sleeping here. Elsa, Jenna, Alex and Enid also arrived, and also stood in front of the door as they saw the scene going on in front of them. Elsa rolled her eyes and said to Jacob, Is this what you said you're going to surprise me with yesterday? Yes. See, I brought pajamas for all of us.
Jacob said before he took out multiple new clothes from his bags. Sweet. Enid reacted first and ran to Jacob to snatch the unicorn-patterned white, silky pajamas from him. If everyone brought their blanket and pillows, we could actually build a fort, Abraham said as he spread out his blanket on the floor. Billy and Phineas arrived soon. I expected them to have an interesting reaction, but they were already worried when they got there. "Hey, the buff lady is coming over," Billy said. "Buff lady?" All of us were confused, except for me and Abraham. "My muscle mommy is here?" Abraham perked up. "Guys, hide the contraband. The PE teacher is coming," I said hurriedly. Jenna and Elsa closed the cello case with my illegal stuff inside them while Jacob threw his bags to the instrument closet. Phineas hid Billy among the cello cases, and just after he covered her up with a case, Mrs. Johnson, the muscle mommy PE teacher with short hair and a whistle on her white t-shirt, enters the room. Why are you guys standing around? Go and practice. We need you guys to get ready for the concert. Edward, can you come with me for a sec? The PTA members want to meet you. I narrowed my eyes at her and asked, for what reason? I don't know yet. They might want to ask you things about the concert, she said while mouthing "don't agree" in her mouth. Then, they could contact my company or the organizer could deal with them. I'm sorry, but I'm not going. Not without my lawyer, I replied decisively. Okay, good. I just need to hear that. By the way, what they wanted is to make you keep your words clean and no songs about vulgarities. So F***ck them. She laughed before she slammed the door shut and walked away again. No. Mrs. Johnson before Abraham could yearn for a punishment from the muscle mommy as usual, Jacob cupped his mouth and stopped him. I laughed before going to Billy's spot and took her out of her hiding place. Are you all right? Also Phineas, why did you hide her? She came here legally. All of them finally realized that Billy was wearing a visitor's pass around her neck. The girl became angry and stomped on her brother's foot, blushing the entire time from the embarrassment. Alright, now that the storm has passed, let's practice. Before I could finish, Enid stood in front of me and declared, let's have a pajama party. I hit her head with my knuckle, which made her turn towards me with a pained expression. Ow wow. Don't interrupt me. Okay. You guys have your party. Alex, Phineas, Billy and I need to practice, especially Alex. As we separated into two teams, Alex pulled me by my sleeve and whispered, Hey, did you ask her yet? Abby? I did. I gave her a card this morning. A card? Alex widened her eyes in disbelief and disgust. That's what you come out with? Yup. Chapter 128, Invitation, Success? General POV High School. Lingering around Haley's locker, Abby and Tara looked at the paper in Abby's hand. Abby was wearing a skull crop top that showed her belly button and deep cleavage paired with a red plaid skirt, and adding a small net, high-waisted pantyhose as a finishing touch. A few boys had walked to the walls because of her, and even some teachers too. She was reprimanded a few times because of her outfit, but she didn't care as school was basically over. So, in your hand is a blank card, and Ed gave it to you, to invite you to prom? Did he maybe forget to write the invitation in it? Tara asked, bewildered by Ed's eccentric behavior. She was wearing a cropped jacket and a green shirt, paired with jeans and sneakers. She put 2 pins on her hair, making her curly hair docile for a while. No, he was confident when he gave me this. Abby rubbed her chin as she thought about the matter. Haley, who was wearing a dark-colored summer dress, rolled her eyes in annoyance before she said, Could you guys please not nerd out around me? Huh? Nerd out? Wait. Did he tell you anything? Abby caught Haley's blunder instantly. Haley darted her eyes around, but then, she got mad instead as she definitely didn't want to have any part in a conquest mission from a man she was interested in, but for another girl. No. He wouldn't tell me anything. Alex, however, wouldn't shut up about it. I don't know what he put inside there, but all I can say is that he said you can figure it out. After all, you want to enter forensic science. Abby's eyes lit up instantly. Then, she brought the paper close to her face and started sniffing it. You! Haley exclaimed in disgust. Shut up. I'm trying to find traces of lemon or urine in this. Abby replied with an embarrassed face. Again. You! Haley walked to Tara's side, in which her friend quickly grabbed her arm and pulled her close before whispering, Hey! Are you okay? Haley replied in a tiny voice, Yeah. I really don't like this. You don't like Abby's going to prom with Ed, or what they were going to do after? Tara asked. After. We were supposed to be equal in this matter. But once she lost her virginity to him, all I can do is to be second place. But it isn't confirmed yet that they were going to do that. Based on what Enid told me, Ed thought the prom thing is between two friends. I don't think he has that in mind. Abby suddenly exclaimed, causing both of the girls to turn to her. I got it. There really is a trace. We need to get to the science lab. Come on. She grabbed her two friends by their wrist and dragged them with her. I don't want to follow. Haley groaned, but she didn't actually try to stop her. No matter what she says, she was actually interested in seeing how Ed planned to ask Abby out to prom. The term promposal wasn't widely spread yet in 2009, so boys who put in the hard work to ask a girl out was a rare thing. As they arrived at the science lab, Abby turned on a Bunsen burner and put the paper on top of the heat produced by the fire. Slowly, the invincible words inside the letter appeared. Tara and Abby were excited while Haley was anxious, but then, all of them became disappointed as they saw what was written. A link? Abby muttered to herself in confusion. Is this like a treasure hunt thing? Where all of my efforts will effectively lead to an invitation from him? Does he consider himself to be the prize? Who do he think he is? She mumbled in dissatisfaction. So, are you not going to solve it? Tara asked. Abby turned to her and said annoyedly, Of course I will. Tara and Haley laughed before they followed Abby from behind to get to the computer lab. However, the bell rang at this time. Wait the class dash, Tara tried to call her friends, but Haley and Abby grabbed her and pulled her together with them. We'll just tell the teacher we were on our periods. Haley muttered. Tara looked at her in disbelief before thinking secretly, Weren't you the one who don't want to come before? Edward POV. Are there any teachers around? I asked. None. Do it. Abraham, who was peeking outside the door, slammed it shut and ran to my spot hurriedly. I put the LP disc into the player and played the music. Carla DeVito, We Are Not Alone, The Breakfast Club, Homage.
Things are clear in black and white. The living color tends to dull our sight like dynamite.
I pulled Enid's hands and we danced together while staring into each other's faces, singing the lyrics to the songs at the same time.
Elsa and Jacob also did the same thing, while Jenna rejected Abraham as he tried to invite her to dance. He turned to Alex, but to his disappointment, Alex went with Jenna and danced the Molly Ringwald dance with her.
Just imagine my surprise when I looked into your eyes and saw through your disguise.
Abraham turned to Phineas, which was startled by his desperate gaze.
But then he sighed and let Abraham pull him to the dance floor. We sang the chorus together with the song.
If we dare expose our hearts, just reveal the purest thoughts, that's when strange sensations start to grow.
Edward.
We are not alone. You find out when your cover's blown, there'll be somebody there to break your fall.
I sang while dancing together with Enid. Then, both of us split as if we have an unspoken understanding between us, where I went to grab Billy, who were fidgeting at the side of the room, watching us dance, and brought her to the dance floor, while Enid went to grab Elsa from Jacob before going to dance together with Alex and Jenna.
We are not alone, 'cause when you cut down to the bone, we're really not so different after all.
Elsa flailed her arms around while spinning, completely absorbed in the song. Alex watched her with some embarrassment in her face, but then, she decided to flail her hands around too, as watching her friends let loose gave her courage.
Let's do it, Abraham said. Not yet, I replied.
Flying high above the sky, the clouds under look simplified. A good place to hide.
Jacob took off his pajamas, revealing his blue tank top that he wore especially for today.
Then, he did a flip, and at the last moment stumbled, and fell into Phineas's direction.
But on inspection of the dust, I came upon this thing called trust. It helps us to adjust.
I did the flip, and did the spin around the room like a madman while Jacob tried to apologize to Phineas.
Just imagine my surprise when I looked into your eyes. I knew right then I'd never let you go.
Enid ran towards me with her arms stretched out, in which I grabbed promptly. Then, she spun underneath my arm before falling to my embrace and posed with her right legs raised up. I was stunned, and then I smiled as she quickly stood back up and spinned away.
We are not alone. You find out when you're coming alone, there'll be somebody there to break your fall.
Now, I shouted.
Jacob, Abraham, and Phineas had a glint in their eyes before they stood back to front with each other in this position: Abraham, Phineas, Jacob. They did the iconic hammer fist march between them while Jenna and Elsa did the side-by-side crab dance.
We are not alone, 'cause when you cut down to the bone, we're really not so different after all.
I did the same back and front dance together with Billy and Enid, before Enid broke free and started shaking herself vigorously, imitating Allison's dance in the movie. She fell to her knees, and she shook herself so hard until she lost all of her energy and flopped down on the floor with her buttocks slightly raised up in the air.
We're not alone, not alone, after all, not alone.
We each did our own unique dance style. I did an air guitar strum, Jacob did a karate chop, Abraham did an Indian dance, Phineas and Billy started tap dancing, Alex flailed her arms around like a basic white girl, while Jenna danced seductively, going up and down while rummaging her hands all over her body. Bridge. What the hell is happening around here? Suddenly, the buff mommy slammed the door open, and all of us froze under her stare. Abraham was directly in front of her as she entered the room, making him raise his head to look up to the teacher's face.
Abraham, are you messing around again?
She shouted even though the kid was in front of him. I quickly shut down the music and the cheery atmosphere turned solemn with the teacher's intervention.
Wait. No. I wasn't the only one.
Aggrieved, Abraham tried to explain, but then he widened his eyes as he saw all of us were pointing our fingers at him.
Even Enid, who was currently faceplant on the floor, didn't fail to point in Abraham's direction. No.
The last thing we heard was Abraham's pitiful wail as he was dragged to the detention room after he was caught by the teacher. I suddenly got a notification on my phone at this time. I grabbed my sweater and my sunglasses as I realized it was time.
Alex noticed it and asked, "Where are you going?" "I need to go somewhere." "Can you cover for me if the teacher asks anything?"
All right.
Be back soon. We still need to practice," Alex said. I nodded and snuck out of the school without anyone noticing. General POV. As Abby gets to the computer lab, she typed in the website URL on the search bar.
Tara and Haley were both standing behind her, leaning forward to see what was displayed on the screen.
A game?
She was confused when the website was loaded. Then, an 8-bit figure of her wearing a skull tank top, a red plaid skirt, and her iconic twin-tail hairstyle appeared on the screen, before the title of the game popped up on top of the figure.
What would Abby do? Title of the game. Start game, Y/N. Click yes now. Tara demanded, her curiosity couldn't be held back any further. As Abby was so slow, she grabbed the mouse and clicked the button quickly.
The game started, and Abby shot an unsatisfied glare at Tara as she wanted to click it on her own. Not backing down, Tara said, "If you continue staring at me without playing the game, I will take your spot and even go to the prom with Edward."
Is that what you want? Shut up. I'm playing. Abby replied urgently.
Most of the efforts in developing the game was put into programming the boobies physics of the 8-bit figure, which were bouncing up and down as the figure walked. It irked Abby, but at the same time, she was feeling flattered by it.
It was a confusing experience for her.
The 8-bit Abby walked along the streets of New York, where she met an 8-bit figure of Edward riding a bike. She laughed as she knew exactly what Edward was referencing in this scene.
He put a lot of work into this. I'm impressed, Tara said with an odd expression.
Haley, however, snorted in jealousy and crossed her arms together as she watched Abby play the game.
A dialogue popped up on the 8-bit ed. "Oh, it's the scary goth girl." What would Abby do? Option 1, beat up the scrawny kid. Option 2, invite him to walk together.
Option 3, force him to be a lookout while she bought weed.
Option 4, ignore him.
Although I really want to see what happens when I click on the first one, I guess he wants me to stick close to the script.
So I will close option 3.
Abby muttered with a nostalgic smile on her face. In the 8-bit world, the 8-bit Abby caught the 8-bit Edward and threatened him, forcing him to become the lookout as she went to the alley to meet with the dealer. Then, she came back out of the alley with a brown paper bag in her hand.
What would Abby do? Option 1, kidnap the annoying kid and snuck into the old salvage yard.
Option 2, get high together with the kid in the old salvage yard.
Option 3, let the kid cop a feel before ignoring him. Option 4,
surrender herself to the authorities as she had committed a dangerous crime.
Abby couldn't hold back her laugh as she read the options. Even Tara and Haley laughed a bit as they saw it.
This little shit. I will make sure to beat him when I see him later,
Abby muttered as she clicked on the second option. Are you sure about your choice?
It's not too late to surrender yourself, or get some help.
An annoying pop-up bar appeared. Little Abby clicked on the yes
option, then another line popped out, sigh, I couldn't handle a criminal.
I guess I had to follow you. Abby laughed out loud to Tara and Haley's confusion. What is it? Tara asked quickly.
This is exactly what he said when I pulled him with me when we first met. Unknowingly, tears pooled inside Abby's eyes as the memories flashed through her mind.
He really is a bastard,
she said with a smile as she wiped off the tears in her eyes with her hands.
Luckily for her, she wasn't wearing a gothic-type mascara today.
The game continued, and it showed several scenes where Abby forced Edward to went and audition for a band, a scene where he let her ride on his bike to get to school, the scene where she drove her in her car, the scene where they decided to be more than friends, then the scene where they broke up. Then, various scenes about how she met Abby and Tara, how they hang out together, even the scene where Abby and Haley made out together was inserted inside the game, which irked both of the girls slightly. Abby, Haley, and Tara all started to cry. Abby was hugged by her two friends from behind, as they know, after this week was over, all that was left for them was separation.
The game reminded them of that.
Finally, Abby reached the last scene of the game. She could finish the game in under 5 minutes, but the crying and sobbing pushed the time she needed to complete it to half an hour. But, she has no regrets.
Wait. Is that the gym?
Tara said as she noticed where the last scene was. 8-bit Abby entered a dark and empty gym, and the game ended with the screen still showing the scene.
Huh? Why yeah.
You're right. Abby's eyes lit up and she stood from her seat quickly.
I need to go there. We will stay here.
Tara said and grabbed Haley's hand before she could follow suit.
As Abby walked away, Haley turned to Tara and asked in confusion, "Why did you stop me?"
Trust me.
It'll be better if you don't see it.
Tara said as she patted Haley on the back to comfort her.
In a few minutes, Abby finally arrived at the well-lighted gym.
She then looked around the space, but she realized that no one was there.
Is he not here? She muttered before she called, "EDDD. Are you here?" But no one answered her.
She walked back and forth inside the gym, trying to find traces of Edward there.
Did he put another clue here? She muttered. Unfortunately, yes.
A voice said from behind her. Abby widened her eyes and turned around in excitement to see Ed's figure standing there.
He was wearing a dark brown jacket and jeans as he entered the hall. Edward POV. Why is your face like that? Aren't you glad to see me?
I asked with a sly smirk on my face. Abby scoffed, but her eyes were still smiling as she said, "After making me run around all day, you're still brave enough to waltz in here with that stupid smile on your face."
Hey, you like my smile? It turns you on. As if.
Abby said, but deep inside her heart, she wondered how the hell did I know that. I walked towards her, and her to me. We faced each other, and after a while, Abby became puzzled.
"So, are you just going to stand there?" she asked. "I told you. You still haven't fully completed the puzzle yet." She dragged her exclamation in annoyance.
"So, the genius girl couldn't do it, huh?
And here I thought it was simple enough for you." "Shut up. Let me think,"
she muttered before she thought about the last scene carefully.
"Wait. It's a dark gym."
Her eyes lit up and she ran to the switch immediately before turning off all of the lights in the gym.
Then, she was surprised as she saw a glow-in-the-dark writing on the floor, saying, "Will you go to prom with me?"
She cupped her mouth with her hands as she was touched, before slowly walking over to where I was standing again. I was smiling at her, and I reached into my jacket sleeves before pulling out a single red rose.
"So, will you?" I asked. "Yes," she replied before giving me a hug.
Inside a Mercedes convertible that was driving in the streets, Pepper admonished me, "That's too much.
And it's definitely something that you shouldn't have done if you just wanted to be friends with this girl." I sighed and said, "I know." Pepper caught my expression and said, "But you seem to have no regrets." "Yeah. I don't." "Good. Because now, you're going to be responsible for that girl's special night," Pepper said before he changed the topic. "Okay, now, let's talk about bringing down that old witch." "You mean your mom?" "I mean a witch."
We were on the way to have dinner with Pepper's mother, and I had never seen him this anxious before. Hopefully, I could manage his expectations about this particular meeting, as it was both an investors' meeting and also a family meeting at the same time. You need to be very, very careful with that old bitch witch.
Oh hell. You already know. Yeah, she's a bitch. Chapter 129. Saltzman Consortium. General POV. Inside a huge and luxurious dining hall, full with white marble tiles, contemporary art pieces on the walls, and giant-size oil painting of an old man, the former Mr. Saltzman aka Pepper's dad, sat 5 old ladies, 1 man, and 1 teenager, eating together. "Oh, you're such a cutie pie. Eat more, sweetie. You look so thin, we need to get you a bit of flesh." A sickeningly sweet and warm voice resounded. The classy, 75-year-old lady with short, white hair, and huge blue diamond necklace and earrings, touched Edward's cheeks lovingly before she put another spoonful of white caviar in his mouth. Ed smiled wryly with his cheeks bulging up like a squirrel as he faced the elderly grandmother. His cute demeanor caused the ladies to swoon again,
and their maternal instinct had fully activated at the dinner table today.
Helen Mirren look-alike Pepper's mother.
"Mother, stop force-feeding him, his stomach will explode,"
Pepper said snidely as he cut his steak with a knife. "What are you worried about? That he'll turn out like you? That's impossible, just look at him."
Mrs. Eve turned to Pepper and said sarcastically. Pepper gasped as he was offended, and his face was filled with disbelief.
"Oh, don't be so dramatic, dear. This can't be the first time you've ever heard it. Nor can I be the first one you heard it from,"
Mrs. Eve said with a condescending smirk.
"By the way, you put on a few pounds since the last time I saw you. I guess your life has been happy." "Mother!"
Pepper widened his mouth in bewilderment before he tried to suck in his stomach to look thinner.
Pepper had actually been dumbstruck since the second he sat at the table.
After all, when Edward came in, he had feared that he would have been facing his mother's evil streak and mean comments only to find out that nothing of the sort happened, something which shook his worldview. The 5 older women were haughty at first, but after a few compliments were masterfully sprinkled here and there by Edward, all of them had turned into kind and caring grandmothers, trying to cater to Ed's every whim.
The spoonful of caviar Eve just stuffed into Ed's mouth alone, for example, cost more than $35,000 per kilogram.
A spoonful of that would roughly be worth at least $2,000, and each of the grannies had taken turns to feed the cute grandson they never had, making Pepper feel a tiny bit jealous of said treatment. After all, he still remembered how they treated him when he was younger, all the snide comments and criticism.
Edward POV.
I was surprised when I saw Pepper's mother's face, and alarmed when I saw one of her friends, Mrs. Latham. A brown-haired, rich widow with a huge fortune behind her. Or as I know her, the rich mistress to whom Leonard sold his body to.
"So Edward, please do tell me, why the first thing you did after getting a small fortune was to break down your house?" Mrs. Latham asked in a curious manner.
"Oh, that dash." Before I could answer, Pepper interjected, "That was for his mental health and personal well-being."
The topic was changed quickly as the soft-spoken Mrs. Eve asked Mrs. Latham a question. "Jessica, you're going to Caltech's fundraiser tonight?"
Mrs. Latham's eyes lit up as she said, "Ah yes, I will be there."
It's always fun to tease the desperate scientists over there.
Her friends laughed, but I still had to ask her why.
Mrs.
Latham didn't expect the question and she turned to me with a surprised look on her face before she replied, "You could say, it's like a guilty pleasure of mine. Although I don't actually feel guilty over it." Mrs. Eve chuckled and said, "Oh, stop it.
You're just out hunting for some food tonight. First you bring them down, then dash." Eve.
One of her friends stopped her quickly as she thought the topic was inappropriate to discuss in front of a minor.
"Oh. Sorry about all that, Ed, don't mind us old ladies," Mrs. Eve said with a smile.
That made me feel ill at ease whenever I met eyes with Mrs. Latham afterward. I knew that I had to be careful around her. Although I did have an acquired taste towards the famous MILFs, Mrs. Latham actually belonged in the GILFs category, and I didn't plan to change my taste anytime soon. As the dinner continued, my worldview was shaken a few times as I managed to live a few scenes that I thought would only happen in the movies.
"So Jessica, I heard you recently come in possession of a prized item?" Eve asked.
Raphael, head of Amuse.
Latham replied casually.
"I will appraise it at Christie's London this December, and donate it to my friend's museum for the tax write-off."
"None of you are gonna get in the door."
Haley, the only one around that could hear her mother's complaint, turned to Claire with an innocent expression before saying, "I thought I heard you were going to get it."
"When, Haley? When?" Claire said tiredly before walking to the door.
"We're here," Gloria said with a huge smile on her face as she announced her arrival there. Jay was smiling behind her, but as he laid eyes on his daughter's new hair, he frowned.
"What did you do to your hair?" he asked in a disgruntled manner.
"I thought I'd try something different," Claire said while rummaging her finger through her new auburn hair.
"What, looking old?" Jay mocked.
Claire was angered and turned away from Jay before stampeding off like a teenage girl whose need for validation had just been denied by her father yet again.
Gloria turned to Jay and hit him in the chest before saying angrily, "Why did you say that?" "What? Am I wrong about it?" "You're not wrong, but that's not what you say to your daughter," Gloria said helplessly before running to get Claire. Alex walked downstairs at that time and greeted her grandpa casually, "Hi Grandpa." "Hey Alex. I can't wait for this Saturday," Jay said before he pulled Alex to his embrace. Jay's commentary. "To be honest, the thought of going to a nighttime, open field concert was tiring me already. I really don't want to go, but Gloria is forcing me to and I know I have no chance to get away from it," Jay confessed. He then proceeded to add with a reluctant expression and an almost frozen smile, saying his sentence in quotation marks, "After all, they are family." Commentary ends. At the living room, Abby continued to pester Haley. "Come on. Let's go shopping. I need to buy my prom dress," Abby said. Haley rolled her eyes and said, "It's impossible to buy a prom dress just 2 days before prom. You need at least a week to do it. That's why I'm bringing you with me. You're the fashion designer. I'm sure we can do it. Otherwise, I will have to borrow one of my mom's old dresses," Abby begged in a playful manner. Haley's mouth twitched, but she continued to pretend to be disinterested. Not that she didn't want to go shopping, but the purpose of the venture made her a bit reluctant to get up from the couch. "She can't do that, Haley. If she did, then the boob cut would be saggy," Tara added while Abby nodded in agreement. Failing to calm Claire down, Gloria walked to the girl sitting on the couch. "Haley. Hey Gloria, what brings you over?" Haley stood up and walked to Gloria hurriedly before giving her step-grandmother a hug. Tara narrowed her eyes at Haley, but decided not to expose her exaggerated reaction when seeing her relatives. It wasn't as if they hadn't met for a long time when they had actually just met last Tuesday. "I came for Luke. He said he's going to play with Manny again," Gloria said. Claire heard it from the kitchen, and hurriedly walked to the back door before shouting, "Luke! Gloria and Grandpa are here. Put on your clothes. I haven't finished playing," Luke shouted back. "Ask them to bring Manny here. Manny is having swimming lessons. Come on, don't make Grandpa wait," Claire replied before muttering in anger as she folded the kitchen towel, "I don't want him to stay here longer." Jay walked into the kitchen at that time, and smiled as he faced his angry daughter. "So, what brought this on? Did Phil say he likes redheads? I won't dye my hair just for Phil, Dad. You know me." Gloria saw that Jay was trying to comfort Claire, so she didn't disturb them and joined in the girls' conversation. She asked, "I heard you guys saying something about shopping?" "Yeah. For Abby's prom dress," Tara replied as she stood up too. "Want to come with us?" Yes. I want to go shopping too," Gloria said excitedly. "I don't have any daughters, but I had been longing to go shopping with one. I'll help you pick out the best dresses for your prom." Tara and Abby were excited and they followed Gloria from behind while Haley stood there, frozen. She finally snapped out of it and asked concernedly as she followed along, "Dresses? Gloria, did you mean dress?" "Gloria, hey." Standing in front of the house, Phil, who was wearing a suit, was reluctant to go inside as he got home from work. Phil's commentary. "Okay, so here's the thing. I was scared of Claire's new look, but after last night, I changed my mind," he said with a happy smile on his face. As Claire was glad she had mended her relationship with her daughters, she was in the mood for some Phil. But that is when the light dimmed out. "Now, I don't know yet if I can handle it. And I don't want to break her heart by saying I don't like it." Commentary ends. As Phil walked to the kitchen, he widened his eyes as he saw Claire, stabbing the chicken they were going to eat for dinner with an angry shout, "H-h-h-h." He quickly turned back to run, but Claire noticed him. With a knife in her hand, she asked Phil menacingly, "Where are you going?" "To get to safety." "Honey, why are you so angry today? I thought the fight was already over?" Phil asked warily as he turned back towards Claire,
inching closer to her, but not entering her arm's reach range.
It's not them. It's my dad. Can you believe he said I looked old when I dyed my hair? Claire complained while touching her hair.
Phil's eyes lit up, and he said with a warm tone, "Honey, you know how your dad is.
He's afraid of getting used to new things."
He went to Claire's back and rubbed her shoulders to calm her down, while carefully removing the knife away from her hand.
Claire suddenly turned back and asked, "Tell me honestly, do you like my new looks?" "I do." Phil replied instantly, as if it was an autonomic reflex.
Claire smiled, but then Phil added, "I love every single part of you, so I may not see any flaws. You're perfect in my eyes. But if your dad says it, he may have a point." Claire froze, and Phil took the chance to run away at this time.
Phil and Claire's commentary.
"No, it's not that she's not beautiful with that hair color.
I just don't know how to feel when I'm around her.
She's making me scared and aroused at the same time.
I'm aroused dash. Phil, no."
Claire shut him down quickly.
Commentary ends. Edward POV.
After I was done kissing ass, Pepper drove me to the Entertain buildings as I have some work to do there.
Can you contact Coldplay for me?
I need to talk to them before the concert,
I said to Harvey. Coldplay? What is that? Harvey asked in confusion as she had never heard of the name before.
In this universe, the Coldplay band had never taken off globally, but they had been gaining reputations across Europe. However, I knew that it was only a matter of time before they became a worldwide sensation, as Chris Martin did have a cameo in the Modern Family series.
It's a British band. I want to bring them over to our side. I also need you to get in contact with Sia. I'll give you a list of the people I want. But, we're settling Taylor's contract first, right?
Otherwise, we won't hear the end of it from her if she can't be the first girl to enter the company," Pepper said in a careful manner.
I was taken aback, and I nodded in realization. Damn, I almost shot myself in the foot.
Okay, we'll settle Taylor's issue first before contacting the others.
I still need to talk to Coldplay immediately.
I have their contacts, but it's awkward for me to contact them by myself. Harvey rubbed her throbbing forehead and said, "I don't even want to know how you managed to get their contacts.
But, I will get in touch with them." As you predicted, a lot of artists and big names want to join in the charity programs.
Eminem had donated $100,000, Dr. Dre had donated $130,000, Rihanna had donated. So far, we have collected more than $2 million for the soup kitchen programs. Should we donate all, or keep one part for ourselves?
Harvey asked. Donate all.
And I personally will donate $200,000 to the programs per month, I said in a casual manner.
Harvey smiled in acknowledgement before she said, "Okay. I'll let the accounts manager know about it." Last thing, I developed a new app called Instagram.
It will be launched at the same time as the concert, so I need you to make the terms and conditions for it, I said with a sly smile on my face. Harvey sighed as she got a lot more work to do, and said, "I really need a team to help me out."
Hire anyone you want. Flappy Birds is currently giving me 100 grand per day, so show off.
Harvey scoffed before smiling at me and said, "Okay.
I'll hire Donna officially then." Great. Can't wait to meet her. Talking about other artists, that reminds me. Ed, someone named Sean Kingston is trying to see if you're open for collaboration. Pepper interjected. Ah. For what song? Eeny miny, miny mo? I forgot. I will check my notes later. Chapter 130, Temptation. Edward POV.
Thursday, before I went to school, I opened my laptop while waiting for Harvey to connect me with the person I was looking for. While I wait, I check up on the reviews about my new app. The development of the Instagram apps was easy. After I completed it, I handpicked a few hundreds of the people from my fans club to become the beta tester for the social media platform. So far, the people gave me positive reviews, but as the number of testers were too small, the full experience of the platform couldn't be achieved just yet.
I should include Vine's 6-second videos in this too.
Insta didn't have video features in the beginning, and Facebook's video player was too slow to load.
Vine became famous because people started posting creative videos and skits. I will aim for that too.
I said while biting on my sandwich, alone in the dining room as my aunt had to go to work today. As the development of smartphones with touchscreen technology hadn't become widespread, I also developed the website version of the platform, mimicking what the developer in my previous life had done.
The impact will be low in the beginning.
It wasn't until 2012 that the apps became trending globally, thus leading to a $1 billion acquisition from Facebook. The hashtag search is also up, and I need to make sure that the cancer-named influencer doesn't take advantage of the app later on. Otherwise, it will lower the IQ of the entire younger generations in this country. Ugh. I hate thinking about the long-term effects of something. It made me think about my high school years' essays. I muttered. If people could hear me, they would come to the conclusion that I was delusional, as I was still in middle school. While I was eating, suddenly, the doorbell rang. I went to open the door, and found the pair of mother and daughter standing outside of my aunt's house. "Good morning, Abby, Desiree. Why are you guys here so early?" I asked. "Aren't you supposed to be at school? Why are you still here?" Desiree asked in concern. "Are you skipping practice?" "You're not supposed to do that, Ed. He must be skipping. I will tattle to your dad," Abby threatened playfully. "I have a conference call, so I will be going a bit late." I had already told my teacher about this. I replied casually. "Come on in. Have you guys had breakfast yet? Also, Abby, why aren't you at school?" "Oh, Abby glanced at Desiree, but before she could ask her to hide it, Desiree beamed up and said happily, she has an interview with the NFA today. If she gets it, then she can enter the 10 weeks training program in the summer, and skip directly to Penn State College next year for the forensic program. Isn't that great?" Abby was in disbelief, and she turned to peek at my expression secretly. However, I was keeping a poker face the entire time even though there was a storm brewing inside my mind. "Oh. That is great," I exclaimed monotonously. Desiree realized what she had done, but she didn't regret it. Compared to a complicated fling, her daughter's future was more important. Our kitchen pipes are broken, so I had to close off the water source. "Can we trouble you, Ed?" "Abby needs to take a shower." Desiree finally told me the reason why they came knocking at the door so early. "MOM," Abby exclaimed in embarrassment. Then, she turned to me and said, "I don't smell. I don't need a shower. Come, smell me." My expression sank, and I flicked her forehead with my finger. "Go take a shower. I need to get on the call. I don't want the interviewer to faint from your smell. Ed." She tried to put a headlock on me. Desiree laughed seeing our antics and said, "I'll fix you guys some breakfast." "Oh, I'd already eaten. Just make some for Abby," I replied while still fighting off the angry girl. Ugh. Abby gave up and stampeded away, but before she entered the bathroom, she called me whisperingly, "Ed." "What?" I said, turning towards the hallways where she was standing. Desiree was inside the kitchen, and their distance was almost the same but were separated by a wall from where I was sitting. I drank some water to cleanse my mouth as I looked at her. Abby didn't say anything and gave me a mischievous smirk. Then, she pushed her skirt down, leaving her with her black-laced panties and a tank top. I spat out my drink, making Desiree turn towards me. "Are you all right, Ed?" she asked. With a strained voice, I answered, "I'm all ready." The water just entered the wrong pipe. I hit my chest a few times to recover. My eyes were stuck at where Abby was standing as she took off her tank top at this time, revealing her black bra. She put her finger on her lips as she posed seductively. Suddenly, the laptop rang at this time as I was finally connected with London. However, I was glued to the sight of Abby taking off her panties, but crossing her legs at the same time, preventing me from fully enjoying the sight.
Ed, aren't you answering the call? Desiree asked, distracting me.
Oh, right, the call, I said, but still letting the laptop ring.
Lastly, Abby turned and took off her bra with her back against me, giving me an inviting glance before entering the bathroom door and throwing away her bra outside the room. Damn, I exclaimed as I pulled my pants crotch down to make it more comfortable. I know for sure if Desiree wasn't around, I wouldn't be able to control myself and would enter the bathroom with Abby, making me miss the important video call at the same time.
Ed?
Desiree asked again, confused as the ringing sound reverberated throughout the kitchen. Right. Right. I said and pressed the spacebar quickly.
Then, Chris Martin, the lead singer of the Coldplay band, appeared on the screen.
Abby POV.
Standing behind the closed door, I started to freak out.
Sweat beads out of my forehead as I cupped my face. WHWH, why the hell did I do that? Erg.
Although my brain was telling me it was wrong, my body was so turned on by it that I actually wished for Ed to be brave enough and enter the shower with me.
No, Abby, no.
I admonished myself as I gave my cheeks some slaps.
Wake up.
Don't fall to your exhibitionist tendencies again.
You're better than this. Flashback, Mall.
As I went shopping with Haley's step-grandmother, who forbade us to call her by that name, she happily told us a few tips to get boys. He needs to feel like you're a prize he have to fight for,
Gloria added while holding her new brassiere.
You can give him some glimpse, tease him, but not go all the way. Then when he is almost losing his mind, then, Gloria finally realized that in front of her was her step-grandchild, and froze.
Then, what? Haley asked curiously as she took serious notes about the tips Gloria was talking about today. Oh no. Claire is going to kill me. Gloria muttered fearfully. Flashback ends.
First step complete, I need to make him crazy enough before prom,
I muttered.
Then, I quickly took a cold shower to clear my head. But while I was showering, I finally realized a huge flaw in my actions today.
Edward POV. That idiot.
All of her clothes are outside the door,
I muttered as I had the same realization as Abby, who was showing in the bathroom.
Abby took a while in the shower, but luckily for her, Desiree was looking at the garden in the backyard.
Chris. Give me a sec. I said to the person I was chatting with. Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing about Yellow. Come back soon,
Chris said playfully. As I talked to him, I managed to pry his ideas about some songs, and confirmed that the song I wanted wasn't produced by him yet. I walked to the bathroom door and put a towel, her change of clothes she forgot to bring in, and her previous clothes together before opening the unlocked door and kicking all of that stuff in.
Mom? Abby asked fearfully. No, it's me, you horny idiot.
Although I enjoyed the show, next time do it when your mom isn't around.
TTH, there won't be a next time, Abby said anxiously before pushing the door close and locking it. I laughed and returned to the laptop where I continued talking with Chris.
Harvey found out that they were not under any agency, and they were independent artists going on tours across Europe. So Chris, you can take some time to consider.
I would really love you joining me in my agency.
Chris was a bit distressed and he asked, why are you inviting me? I mean, our band, although I'm confident in it, we haven't gotten big in almost a decade. You guys just don't have the proper ways of showing yourself to the world.
But I have.
And like you, I'm also confident that you guys can make it big, but not bigger than me though. He chuckled at the joke/statement, and I added with a serious tone, Chris,
the decision is in your hand. Do you want to still go on small tours, or do you want your music to be spread worldwide? Come join me, I can make it happen. We can make it happen.
He fell into a silence, then, he finally sighed and said, you know, I will be joking if I say I don't want to join you.
Especially when you can come out with a song, just for us, in our style, in just a few minutes of us talking. So you know what? I'm in. Great. I will send a private plane to pick you up and bring you to the States. Also, a side note, when you spoke about my invitation, make sure to say that I invited you as the second male artist to sign with the agency. What's with the necessary distinction? Chris asked, confused. Let's just say that if I don't do that, an angry princess will initiate a blood feud with me, and I have no confidence that I could survive after that. Blood feud? Princess? Tay dash. Shoo. She might be listening into the conversation. You never know. I joked.
Chris was stunned, and then he guffawed out loud. We talked about a few things after that, and his initial reservations about talking with me completely disappeared as we talked about music. Chris told me that he had booked a few gigs in London, and was reluctant to fly over immediately as the people who bought his band's tickets were his loyal fans. Therefore, we would push the signing to a few weeks later, during my summer vacation. Okay, I still need to get to school, so I will talk to you later? I asked. He smiled and said, sure, but make sure it wasn't 2 o'clock in the morning still, yeah? It was 10 in the morning for me, and it's currently 3 in the morning for him. I laughed and said, you're still young, right? A few sleepless nights means nothing to you. Bollocks. I'm almost 30. I can't even drink beer like I used to. Chris said with a smile. When Abby came out of the door in a formal dress with a blazer on, I laughed out loud at her state, which earned me a second round of her ire. But Desiree quickly pulled her away to get to the interview on time. After a long time, I went to school with my bike instead of being driven off by other people. Ah, the wind feels great. I muttered as I cycled through the neighborhood street. However, as I entered the main streets, the hot breeze quickly made me sweat. Summer is coming. I looked at the blue sky and the sparse clouds. I arrived at the school as usual, and parked my bike at the same spot I usually parked. When I walked to the music classroom, I froze as I saw the sight in front of me. You know, there is a myth. When you skip school, then you're going to miss out on the craziest school day that ever happened. The principal fought a goat. A celebrity came to school, etc. I really thought it was made up before. But now, I fully believe it. Fluffy pillows, air mattress, girls in pajamas, and most importantly, a blanket fort fully erected inside the music classroom. Alex smiled and said, luckily for you, you're only skipping for half a day, so you didn't fully miss it. Whose idea is this? I asked with a surprised smile as I entered the room. Jacob in a black pajama, laying on the mattress with Elsa in a red pajama answered, well, we need to do it because of Abraham. He's still feeling betrayed as we sold him out. I asked him what he wants, and he wants this. And where is he? I asked. Here, Ed. Enid gave me a change of clothes after running towards me. Like a camping tent, the fort was open at the side, so I could see what everyone was doing. He caught a cold, and has to stay home. It's a slight cold, but his mother won't let him come so as to not infect us. We need to be healthy for the concert after all. Phineas said, being fully integrated into the group. He was laying together with Billy, reading some manga I had in my cello case. I laughed at Abraham's misfortune and joined my friends in the blanket fort. What will you guys do if the teacher comes? I asked as I sat beside Enid and Alex. We're not dumb. Alex said and pulled a string hanging nearby her. Then, a red curtain fell down, enclosing the fort. Ah, the theater curtain. I muttered in realization. Enid nodded proudly as she explained, wanting to take credit for her idea. When the teacher comes, she'll see it as no more than a backstage curtain, lose interest, and go away. I don't think it'll work like that, but don't give up hope, yeah? I muttered while rubbing her head, making her pout in dissatisfaction. Alex snorted as she had the same thoughts as me. The lunch bell rang shortly after, but none of us got out of the fort as Jacob put on the movie, White Chicks, that he brought from home. My bandmates, our time has come, I said as I looked at the clock hanging on the wall. Erg/ah. Groans and complaints were flying around as Alex and Phineas didn't want to get out of the fort, while Billy was already up and ready for the practice.
I'll go to the toilet first. You guys can stay inside the fort until I get back.
I laughed and walked outside the door, wearing a sweater to cover up my pajamas. I only changed my shirt when I wore it, so I was still wearing my khaki pants.
It took me only a few minutes to get back.
Before I could call my friends out of the fort, suddenly, someone knocked on the door.
Jacob quickly turned off the movie, and all of them went silent as I opened it.
Suddenly, a rough hand pushed me on the chest as a few high schoolers in a football jacket barged into the room.
"Roy," I muttered.
"Little bitch," Roy muttered as he looked at me angrily. On his neck was a scratch from a raccoon claw, and he cracked his fist as he said, "I have a score to settle with you."
I don't think I'd ever talked to you before. I titled my head in confusion as I cheekily confronted him.
The vein on his forehead throbbed as his face flushed red. His two friends started to encircle me as he started his villain monologue.
"You see, you took something of mine. And I want it back."
That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha System in Modern Family World.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.